The sound of metal crushing against metal still echoed in Emma's ears as she lay trapped in the wreckage of what had been her car just moments before. The 30-year-old mother could taste copper in her mouth and feel the sting of small cuts on her face, but she was conscious. Miraculously, blessedly conscious. Through her shattered windshield, she glimpsed the other vehicle, and her heart sank. The other driver wasn't moving. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" The firefighter's voice cut through the fog of shock as they worked to extract her from the twisted metal that had once been her safe space. Emma nodded weakly, her thoughts immediately turning to her daughters, 6-year-old Lily and 11-year-old Sophie. They needed their mom to be okay. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and fear. Emma's husband, David, had rushed there after dropping their girls with his mother, and his pale face told her everything about the panic he'd felt. The doctors wanted to keep her overnight for observation, concussion protocol. But she was lucky, they said. So incredibly lucky. The next morning brought what should have been relief. David arrived with both daughters, their faces a mixture of excitement and worry. But when little Lily saw her mother's bruised face and bandaged arms, the 6-year-old crumpled into heartbreaking sobs. "I don't want you to die, Mommy." She choked out through her tears, her small body shaking with fear that no child should ever have to feel. Emma pulled her daughter close, her own heart breaking at the terror in that tiny voice. "I'm not dying, sweetheart. Mommy was very, very lucky." But then came the words that would shatter Emma's world more completely than any car crash ever could. "But Granny said she hoped you would die so that Daddy and us could come live with her," Lily whispered, her innocent voice delivering a blow that left Emma gasping. The hospital room fell silent except for the steady beep of monitors. David's face went white, then red, his hands clenching into fists. 11-year-old Sophie, mature beyond her years, nodded solemnly. "I heard her say it too, Mom." She really did. David stormed out to call his mother, leaving Emma staring at the ceiling tiles, wondering how someone she'd trusted with her children, someone she'd considered close, could wish death upon her. The woman who had helped plan birthday parties and Christmas mornings had wanted her gone. When David returned, his face was a mask of controlled fury. He waited until they were home, until the girls were settled, before the dam burst. His mother had denied it at first, he said, but under pressure she'd cracked. She'd admitted it, but claimed she didn't mean it. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical injury Emma had sustained. This wasn't heat-of-the-moment anger or a misunderstanding. This was her mother-in-law expressing her deepest wish to a terrified 6-year-old who'd just learned her mother had been in a car accident. "I want no contact," Emma said firmly, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. "The girls and I are done with her. You can have whatever relationship you want, but we're out." David supported her decision without hesitation, making the call that same evening. But his mother wasn't going to accept this quietly. She arrived at their doorstep within hours, tears streaming down her face, words tumbling out in a desperate torrent. "It was a misunderstanding. I didn't mean it. You're taking it the wrong way." "Then what did you mean?" David asked, his voice cold as winter. What followed was a breakdown that revealed years of hidden resentment and twisted fantasies. She'd always wanted daughters, she sobbed. Her son was her only child due to fertility issues, and she'd begun seeing his daughters as hers. More daughters than granddaughters. In her warped moment of hope, she'd seen Emma's potential death as an opportunity rather than a tragedy. David had to physically help his hysterical mother to her car, the weight of her confession hanging heavy in the air. When he returned, his face was hollow with shock. "I didn't know she felt that way," he whispered. "Do you still want to cut her off?" "Yes," Emma replied without hesitation. A week had passed since then, and David's silence was deafening. Emma watched her husband retreat into himself, saw the guilt and confusion warring in his eyes, and began to doubt herself. Had she overreacted? Was she being too harsh on a grieving woman who'd spoken thoughtlessly in a moment of emotional chaos? But then she remembered Lily's tears, Sophie's solemn confirmation, and the cold calculation it must have taken to say such words to a frightened child. Some lines, once crossed, couldn't be uncrossed. What do you think? Was Emma right to cut contact, or should she have forgiven this moment of weakness? How would you have handled learning that a family member wished for your death? Share your thoughts and experiences below.